welcome back to Dance Magazine's YouTube channel. My name is Haley Hilton, and traditionally this is called the Begin Again vlog. But today I am announcing a change. So for the last 2 years, I have been documenting my return to the industry after 9 years off with a chronic health condition. I brought this back at a time when all of you were also returning to the industry post-COVID, and it felt like we were all in this together. But at this point, my story's kind of begun. I'm in the middle of my story now. I have an agent, I'm auditioning, I'm doing the grind, I'm making things happen, and so we've decided it's time to shift away from beginning again to a dancer diary. This column is now called Dancer Diary, and I'm going to be documenting my life as a dancer in New York City. I have kind of been pushing my content towards this angle for a while now, so things won't shift for you at all. I'm still going to be tackling challenges that I'm facing in the industry that I think are relevant to you as well, speaking with experts and finding answers and solutions to help us all do our best. So yeah. Not too crazy, nothing will change too much, just a title change, but I wanted you all to know this is now the Dancer Diary vlog. Today we are talking about social media, which I know is kind of a buzzword. I feel like most of us have a kind of complicated relationship with social media. We are told that it is this really effective and powerful tool for making connections, developing relationships, and that it can benefit us in getting jobs. We're told that casting directors and agents and directors and choreographers are looking at our TikToks and our Instagrams, and they're using that as part of their decision-making process. Like how big of a part it plays, I don't know. And if everyone's looking at it, I don't know, but that's what we're told, that we're supposed to use this as a tool. So I spoke with a social media expert, Whitney Euland, and I asked her some of these questions. How important is this? What do we need to be thinking about? What exactly are they looking for? And I got some tips for how to utilize social media effectively in 2023. Check out my conversation with Whitney. Hi, Dance Magazine readers. Welcome back to Dance Magazine's YouTube channel. Today, we're talking about social media. We're sitting down with Whitney Euland, who is an actor, writer, director, producer, and certified life coach, and a social media expert.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. We're really excited to share your insight with our readers. This is a very front of mind topic. To get started, can you briefly tell our readers a bit about your professional background and your experience in social media?
Yeah, for sure. So I, like I'm sure a lot of the people listening, I'm a performer at heart. I started out, acting, and then that led me to writing and directing my own things as well. And I've done that both in musical theater and then on camera as well. So that's what I love to do. And when I was living in New York City, I found life coaching, and it just really changed my life and really changed my career. And that it became something that I just became really passionate about. And so then I ended up getting certified as a life coach. And so now I help artists and influencers and creatives to really get their work out there, really be seen by like massive amounts of people. I like to just like synopsis, the one line of what I do as a life coach is that I help artists, creatives, and influencers become famous. And so that kind of leads into like talking about social media, right? Like that is such a big thing. And ultimately, I really love to think of social media as just a way of networking. And I honestly think that that can be the biggest roadblock to so many artists and creatives. We hear casting directors talking about how important it is or whatever. And so it kind of starts to feel like it's this big thing, or even like this identity, right? Like, and it makes sense. People think of me as like, oh, you're a social media expert or a strategist or whatever, when really it's kind of like how, like with the dancer, you're a dancer, but you also have to audition. And I kind of like to think of it similar to that, where it's just another way of getting your work in front of people so that you can be hired and get opportunities. I think like at the end of the day, all of us want to perform because we love what we do. And we love, whether it's on stage or on camera, we love being able to share stories and connect with people. And so social media can really just be another medium to be able to do that.
What are casting directors looking for on our social medias? Like, is it a specific number of followers? Is it clips of our work? Is it just like a general vibe to see if we fit their vibe?
So first off, like I do think that there was a phase in the industry. And so I live in Los Angeles now, and I'm the co-president of an organization of Hollywood executives. And so I'm around a lot of Hollywood executives, and I've talked to them about this specifically. And They have, I think the general gist of it now is that they've said there was a time when we thought that follower count mattered, and now we realize it doesn't really necessarily translate to bringing in audience members. Just because someone is following you online doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to come and buy a ticket to your show. So the number is less important. Being an influencer is so much less important. And so again, like I think that it can just be a resource that if you want, you can create it. You can create a following. You can get people. Essentially, I like to think of it as just people who are rooting for you, people like who are in your corner. And so, and you can also then leverage that and use that for opportunities to meet people. So for example, when I back in 2021, I think it was, my agent got, I was at a top agency and my agent got fired. So I got bounced around to a couple of different agents, and then it just ultimately wasn't the right fit. And so then they ended up dropping me. And what I decided to do was then use the social media platform that I had and say, like, look, I'm still trying to get work as an actor. I want to get cast on television. So I'm just going to do that without an agent. And what ended up happening was the casting director saw it. And then she ended up just kind of being in my corner and rooting for me. And she wanted to be part of that journey. And so then she sent me a bunch of auditions, and I ended up booking one of them, and ended up booking a recurring role on an HBO show. So I like to think about, like, if we think about our world before social media, which, is before my time, but I'm sure before yours as well. We really just knew the people like in our neighborhood, right? Like there might be, like, I used to live in Manhattan, and there was like, I would know the guy that worked at the bodega or whatever. Like he was like my neighborhood, friend, and I knew about his family, and I knew about his wife, and I knew about how his son was in college and all of those things. And social media is really just giving us an opportunity to expand our neighborhood and to get people rooting for us and to get on board with us. The biggest challenge, though, to that is when performers think that they need to show up on social media like a product instead of like a person, right? And so if you're showing up just being like, here are my pirouettes, like, yeah, that's great, but they can see that in the audition room, right? And but what they can't see in the audition room is you and your story and your authenticity. And so I'm sure, my guess is that now casting directors, if they are going to your social media, they just want to get to know you and kind of thinking about it like, oh, this is a block party where, I'm going to go meet Haley and see kind of what she's all about, and see if she's someone that I want to root for.
Okay, I love that. I feel like culture kind of looks at social media sometimes through a lens that feels like, oh, this is this unhealthy thing. But I really like that. Like, this is your community. It's not necessarily about like how many people can follow me or how many people can like me or whatever. But yeah, like building people who are rooting for you. And then, yes, and you can leverage some of those relationships when appropriate to help you in your career as well. I thought it was interesting, as you said, like showing up as a person versus showing up as a product. What does that look like?
What I see the most often is just people showing only polished versions or a perfect caption or a perfect routine, or, whatever it is, instead of really bringing themselves to the table. And I just think that, there's nothing wrong with doing that, but I do think that that is ultimately keeping people from falling in love with you and getting to know who you really are. And I also think that we're evolving in terms of our relationship with social media. If you and I were to watch an infomercial for the 80s, we would be like, oh my gosh, this is so cringy. Like, this is so embarrassing. I can't believe people fell for this. But at the time, that was like a really good ad and like a smart ad, right? And people really believed that and bought products based on it. And it's similar with social media, where it's just like, I think there was a time that we wanted to see a polished, perfect photo shoot that was manicured and all of that. And I think that we've just kind of evolved past that, which is why I think TikTok has really exploded so much. Is, the creators on there really are just like showing up authentically, right? Just finished a workout at the gym, just finished, putting their kids down for bed or whatever it is. And those are really the moments that connect us to them. And so I think we're kind of at this point right now where if the authenticity really is beating out anything else. And so if you're not being authentic, if you're just showing up too manicured, it's kind of giving off that same vibe that like an 80s infomercial is, where it's like, not that people would say that's cringy, but it just doesn't quite like hit the same.
I was going to ask, like, how do we know if what we're putting out there is helping us or hurting us? And it sounds like being authentic is like going to play a big role in that. But is there anything else that you're like, be wary of, or I don't know, anything like that?
It is similar to a resume where I do think that there's something to be said for curating, what you want people to know about you. You don't have to share every single piece of your life. People are not entitled to, you don't have to like go to therapy and then come on and like share like all of the things that you trudged up or things like that. And then, yeah, just thinking about it in terms of like where you're going and taking people on that journey. So whether you're working towards getting a new agent or booking, a role on Broadway or whatever that role is, or whatever that goal is for you, taking people on that journey and just being mindful that like, there are people watching and not, I think maybe I hope that no one needs to hear this, but, not talking trash about people, being professional, not being lewd, things like that. I do think, makes a difference.
Do they want to see some of your work as well? Like as an actress, do I need to be having some like scene work up?
I don't think it hurts, but I think also just remembering that if people are going to your social media, they want to know you as a friend. So even thinking about like the directors that I know or the agents that I know or even the execs that I know, they love talent. Like they love creatives. And so they would be excited to see our work, but they wouldn't be there judging it. Does that make sense? Like, so I think if it feels natural and it feels like something you want to share because it's work that you're proud of, then I think like definitely don't shy away from putting it up. But I don't think it needs to be something that's like, okay, and every 6 months I put a scene so that people know that I can act. Like, I don't think it has to get like that. Just thinking about it in terms of like, if someone's going to your social media, it's because they love you, they want to know more about you, and they'll probably be excited to see more of your work.
Okay, so to finish off this interview, we just want to ask you 3 social media tips for performers 2023. What do we need to know? What'll really help us out?
Okay, so the first one is going to be, again, just take people on a journey. If you were to sit down, write your next goals and then write out some ideas for like, how can I take other people on that journey with me? And then start posting about that. Second thing is, and this is something like I always help my clients come up with, but is to come up with pillars for not just about your career, but about you. So I like to think about if you can come up with 3 different things about yourself. So one of them can be that you're a performer, and then 2 other like fun things about you, so that you that usually can just be a guidepost for what to be posting about. So that, let's say that you're like, oh, and I love nature and I love, doing community service and then dancing, right? Then maybe those are the 3 things that you are posting about. And it doesn't have to be rigid. It just kind of gives you a way to like keep track and make sure that you're not only posting, dance content, things like that. And then the last thing that I would advise is just to really think of this like you are hosting a party. So the people who come, they want to be there. They want to see you. They want to engage with your work. I really think that like, honestly, that's probably the most important tip, is because again, I do think that most of us are approaching social media as if, oh my gosh, this is where I'm going to be judged, or I'm going to get a job or not. And it just feels really high stakes. And instead, if you can think about it as like, no, these are all people that love me. They came here. They want to be part of this. I have this awesome party going. Then I think it can just kind of help make the process of it all a lot more fun, and ultimately make your content stronger as well.
Awesome. Yes, I think that's so great. And then what about just, can you still with your social media share like, this is just my life, like we went to this fun thing that we did? I feel like social media used to be kind of like a journal in some ways. Is it okay for it to still have posts that are like that, or does everything kind of need to go towards serving this?
Yeah, no. And I think right now it's kind of trendy also to do photo dumps. And I think that is also a really fun way of just being like, this is kind of the journal of like what's been happening in my life. I think, again, there really are no rules to this. So if you go to a birthday party and you just want to share the picture and like things like that, like absolutely you can. It just, usually events don't necessarily show anything about you, if that makes sense. And so again, it's not going to hurt, but if you are wanting to like use this to build an audience of people that are excited about you, they're not really going to care that you went to your friend's like bachelorette party, right? Whereas like they will care about like something that you're passionate about.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Whitney, this has been so great. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us and help us out. So readers, I want you to go check out her podcast. It's the Abundant Artist podcast, and the one on social media for artists is one that I listened to that I felt like was so helpful. Do you want to direct them anywhere else to what you're doing, what you have going on?
I would say just following me on Instagram or TikTok at Whitney Euland. I am going to be going through a rebrand soon, so the podcast name is going to be changing. So if you're listening to this later, just go to my Instagram and you'll be able to like find all the links there.
Amazing. Thank you so much. There were so many things about that conversation that I really liked, but in particular, instead of focusing on like, I need to be an influencer and I need to somehow get followers and I need to worry about likes and views and like be overwhelmed by that, instead just being like, I'm sharing with my community that is rooting for me and cares about me. Honestly, this has been so true for me. This is what Begin Again has been, and now Dancer Diary is my life, my story, and hopefully it can help someone else. And I'm taking you along the ride for the good and the bad, and I'm really grateful for the people who have reached out and said that Begin Again has helped them in their life and given them comfort and encouragement. Like, that means the world to me. Those are my number one things. But if nothing else, at the end of this, I have this really cool diary at this stage of my life. You know, when we all die, what we leave behind are these artifacts of ourselves. And I'm so grateful that we live in this time with social media where we have really documented our experiences, and like, how cool. Hopefully someday my kids will look back at this and be like, wow, like, remember when mom was like living her dream, chasing her dream, doing what she loved in New York City? That's really cool. I've been thinking about how can I take her advice. So what I'm gonna do is a vlog of a day in my life. She said that they want to see humans, they want to see who you really are, what you really like, not necessarily like curated and gorgeous and beautiful. So it won't be anything too crazy, but I'm gonna show you what my life is like today. It's been a long time. The last time I did a day in my life as a dancer in New York, I was still doing most of my classes online because we were coming back from COVID, and like, I wasn't quite brave enough to step into the studio yet. And so everything looked a lot different. Now it's like go, 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 so crazy. And this won't even include my teaching because I haven't started teaching again post-summer. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So check out a day in my life. Good morning.
Expected to ultimately said he would Trump and Canada, one of the biggest.
Coleman is out walking Lucky, and he needed sunscreen, and so I'm gonna send it down to him. Hi! All right, you ready? I'm sorry. It's a good thing that I'm a performer and not an athlete, because my goodness.
St. Petersburg. First note to the last. The climate. I think a lot of us who think of him and his vice presidency, right, will you keep sending billions? And I want to talk.
I gotta be honest, I don't really want to go to ballet right now. But I also feel like I never regret going to ballet, and I feel like my muscles need it for injury prevention. This is a leotard that my friend Libby gave me. I haven't worn it yet. Let's give it a go. Ooh, it's pretty. I'm gonna be like, lotion. I love you guys. That class was, I was dead during it. Nancy kept saying, Haley, stop being stingy, jump. Yelling at me to jump higher, and my body was just like, nope, we're not gonna do it today. I tried so hard. Yay.
No, the other thing is just fine.
My dance studio goes back to class in just a few weeks. For those of you who don't know, I have a small school on the Upper West Side. Every year before we go back to class, I try really hard to have all of my recital choreography done. So my recital won't be till June, but the year just gets so crazy between me trying to do auditions and take class and do my writing job and teaching. It's just really nice to have this done. I have been kind of procrastinating it all summer long. There are 6 numbers that I need to have done, and I've only choreographed 2 of them. So I'm gonna go and try and choreograph or work on another one of them now before I head to class. I just feel like choreography is so hard that I wish I could just hire someone to do it for me. I know I am capable, it's just unpleasant. I've made some progress there. Still have a lot of work to do. I didn't actually finish something. Oh, I got a message on Actors Access. Hold on. I got a message on Actors Access. I have an audition coming up, but I just had to jump on and confirm that I will do it. And now I'm going to Billy. And then once I'm done with Billy, I'll walk my dog in this dreary rain. Hey, how are you? Hi. Coleman is making dinner. I just got back from walking our dog. Wish that I was different. I'd like to let go. Lord, wow, it's been a while.
Yeah.
2, 3. That was a real day in the life. So it wasn't polished, obviously, but that's what my life looks like right now. All right, guys, thanks for following along. If you've made it this far, I love you. I hope you enjoyed that day in the life. You guys should go post your day in the life posts. I want to see them all. I'm so curious about what everyone's life chasing the dream looks like these days. And yeah, thank you for following along. Thank you for coming with me as I begin again. It really means so much. I feel emotional thinking about what a gift this has been for me, this kind of second chance at this dream of mine, and that you care about it and you're supporting me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now it's time to just do Dancer Diary. Now it's time to be in it and the thick of it, and I can't wait to see how things unfold going forward. I hope you guys have a great month, and I'll see you next time. Mwah.